You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
Glory to Auburn family, and welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion. And today we have another W to talk about. The pep in my step is getting better and better as we go along with this podcast, as we go along with this season. Another W to talk about. Your Auburn Tigers are 8-1 after their big win against the Nebraska Cornhuskers in Atlanta in State Farm Arena, 99-68, a 31-point W to talk about today. And to do that, I brought in my dad and co-host. Dad, are you ready for this one?
Yeah, you are a little bouncy over there right now.
Yeah,
this was a great weekend for Auburn basketball, kind of all around.
Yeah, that's right. And this is actually the second podcast that we're in the same room doing this, instead of doing this over the computer and over the phone and over Zoom. So, you know, I don't know, the audio may be kind of different, but you know, this is how we're going to do it over Christmas break while I'm back in Birmingham. But this is a really good win for Auburn. The Auburn Tigers look like one of the best teams in the SEC right now. Really meshing together really, really well, which is very important, especially right now, before the start of the SEC season and right before the start of Mr. Alan Flanagan coming back. So it's big, got a lot to talk about, and let's get it going.
Keep going. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So first things first, let's go ahead and knock this out. Where we'll talk about this one time. We'll be done with it, just like the Auburn basketball program is done with it. The NCAA rulings on the Chuck Person stuff that happened back in 2016 and 2017 is final, and it is done. There's no more. Auburn is on a 4-year probation, which can't do anything wrong or they'll hit us even harder. Yeah. And Bruce Pearl was suspended for 2 games. This game, the Nebraska game, and next week against North Alabama. And interim head coach Wes Flanagan won on Saturday against Nebraska, and his son Stephen Pearl, another assistant coach, will be the interim head coach on Tuesday against North Alabama. I think they did that because those are the guys who had the scout for those games.
Right. Wes Flanagan had the scout for Nebraska, so he became the head coach. And Stephen Pearl has the scout for North Alabama, and he'll do the head coaching duties. It's good to get the NCAA junk behind us. 4 years is too long.
That's right.
That's as Charles Barkley said on the TV broadcast yesterday. If it takes you 4 years to do something, you suck.
Yeah, you're not very good at what you're doing.
So we did 4 years probation. We lost Bruce Pearl for 2 games. We've lost 2 scholarships over 4 years. That's not 2 a year. That's 2 over the 4 years, which if you're the NCAA, excuse me, I'll be on the soapbox for just a minute. If you're the NCAA and your thing is to help athletes for better themselves, taking away 2 scholarships does nothing but hurt like walk-ons. 13 scholarships. We don't have we're not using 13 scholarships this year.
Yeah.
And we're going to probably give a scholarship to another walk-on. But the NCAA, in all their infinite wisdom, has decided that to take away a scholarship that a walk-on would get for coming out and busting his butt.
Yeah,
it's not students. Right.
For the students.
We also are paying a $5,000 fine and 3% of the basketball budget.
Yeah.
Again, not sure what that has to do with anything in this case. Not sure what suspending Bruce Pearl has to do with anything in this case. But we need to give a hat tip to the compliance department, Rich McGlynn. I see a lot of people talking bad about Rich McGlynn sometimes when he's self-imposing some stuff, but if he wouldn't have self-imposed this stuff last year, we would not be eligible for a tournament this year.
Yeah.
So thank you, Rich.
That was the big thing when they decided to do the ruling last week. I immediately got scared. I was like, they're going to ban us for this tournament. They're going to ruin these guys' careers, especially guys like Jabari and guys like Flanagan, maybe, that want to go pro.
Zep Jasper his last year. Yeah.
So I got really worried and was really relieved when I saw that it was just a 2 game suspension for Pearl and the probation for 4 years. and all that other little stuff. So
Got a little bit worried too when I realized that the guy that was handing down the verdict was an Alabama undergrad and jurisprudence graduate.
Yeah.
So I do not think that they should allow somebody like that to
make a rule against Auburn,
against your biggest rival. It just and maybe that's why it got so not as much, because he didn't want it to look like he was.
Maybe so, yeah.
Maybe so. If that's the case, then do it again. That's fine. But I think we're in good shape, and it's behind us. And the dark cloud is over.
That's right. The dark cloud is over this Auburn basketball program, and it is behind us. We're done. We're done talking about it.
Yep. Let's talk about the game.
Let's talk about this W, a 31-point win, 99-68, just like I said earlier, against not a very good Nebraska Cornhusker team. I don't think that team's going to win a lot of games. I don't think you see that team in the tournament. I don't really see the bright side of that Nebraska team. But I don't think it was Nebraska being bad. I really do think it was Auburn being good with their 31-point win, pure domination.
It was pure domination. You're right. That's not a very good Nebraska team. I watched them play Michigan before they came and played us, and that they're going through a time with some flu on some of their players, so they've been sick a little bit, and they've got a couple good players. Their little point guard's a good player. He's the one that scored all their points against Michigan. It wasn't much, but he's the one that did it. And but no, they're not a tournament team. They have a good head coach. I think he's a guy that can maybe turn that program around if they give him time, but it's not this year.
That's right. And I just don't think you see the light at the end of the tunnel for Nebraska. And you said that they were going through flu. We'll go ahead and address Chris Moore was not with the team in this game. They said he was dealing with flu symptoms and stuff like that. So we hope Chris gets better. Hope to see him back on Tuesday. If not, then on Saturday. But you didn't see you saw the depth on this team with, Leo Berman, let's just talk about him right now. He played 19 minutes in this game.
19 minutes.
Or he didn't play 19 minutes. Crazy. I think he played like 9 or 10 minutes. He scored 8 points.
That's great.
2 or 3 from 3, got an assist, got a foul, I played great defense on some of their guards, had an incredible plus minus of plus 25. I think he did play in the higher minutes, but guys like that stepping up. It's the depth on this basketball team that is the difference.
Leor has provided such depth, because when Flanagan went down and was hurt, and we started looking at the roster and thinking, who's going to fill in, who's going to get those minutes, and I tell you what, it's going to be hard to take minutes away from Leo Berman. He's stepping up. He played great yesterday. I wish he would stop driving the ball and just shoot it sometimes. He seems like he's wanting to attack the rim some, maybe get to the free throw line, but because he is such a pure shooter.
Yeah.
Such a pure shooter. And by the way, he's a better shooter than the guy that transferred to Tennessee last year.
Who?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I don't know who you're talking about. We'll
this year at least.
That'll be an interesting podcast when that game comes.
Yeah, that's a long way.
That's a long ways away. It seems like a long ways away. Let's talk about the defense in this game. We're after the game, because we were at a family event for the game, but we were able to watch about 95% of it, and then we watched later on, and then
excuse me.
And then we went to the Birmingham Squadron game to watch Jared Harper and Samir Dowdy with the Birmingham versus Lakeland Magic game. And we were listening to after the game with Zach Blackerby and Lindsey Crosby that they do on ESPN 106.7. And we were listening to that, and I think Lindsey said, like, we had 16 steals. And both of us looked at each other like, no, there's no way. That's got to be a misspoke. That's got to be a typo somewhere. There's no way we had 16 steals. No, he was right. We had 16 steals in this game, which is the most in the Bruce Pearl era.
Yeah, I thought about it when he said that. I thought, well, maybe he's reading turnovers and just calling them steals.
Yeah,
and then you pulled it up on your phone and you're like, no, we had 16 steals. They had 20 turnovers.
Yeah.
But 16 steals, and we're getting steals from guys like a 7-1 Walker Ketzer had 5.
He had 5 steals. He had 5 steals.
5 steals is just crazy.
And so the same thing with Zep Jasper, 5 steals. Let's talk about Zep for a second. I hate to just be bouncing around like this because we're not getting it. We have a lot to talk about. Let's talk about Zep for a second. Zep, the only senior on this team, has the most experience, not even close. Probably has the most experience of everybody else on this team combined, especially if you don't count Flanagan. So he makes such a difference when he's out there. And yes, he's the starting point guard right now. And I think that needs to stay that way. And we'll talk about that a little more when we talk about somebody else. But Zep, I read something, he had 5 steals. When he came to Auburn, I was like, yeah, that's a dude that's going to come in and bring some energy with defense off it. No, this dude's a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
He leads the country in assist to turnover ratio by a huge margin.
That's just, yeah. When some of the national writers were writing before the season got started and talking about how Auburn may struggle, the reasoning behind Auburn may struggle was not their front court, it was their back court, it was their point guard position, because we were bringing in 2 guys that had played lower level, and Zep he does it on the defensive end, but to lead the country in assist to turnover ratio is just it's not what I was expecting from Zep Jasper.
It's crazy. And we're recording this Sunday night, and I saw it Sunday morning, and I told you, and you looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, no, like, hey, it's a huge margin that he's winning about. I could pull it up. I don't know if I could. I don't know where to find that. But I'm really proud of Zep, really proud of our backcourt guys. Go ahead and talk about KD. KD didn't shoot the ball particularly well in this game, go 0 for 5 for 3 and only 6 of 16 in the field. And he had 12 points. He had 3 boards. He had gotten foul trouble, so maybe that had a little something to do with it. He had 4 fouls in this game. Dude's everywhere.
But he still provides energy.
Everywhere.
And he was, he didn't make any threes, but when he attacked the basket, he made his layups. It's something that not everybody on our team made layups. KD was making them going through contact and finishing at the rim. Well, we've got to get and I know that it's an aberration for us to miss as many layups as we did as a team, but that's something that when we get the ball 2 feet from the bucket,
you got to score. We
got to finish. And KD was showing them, hey, this is how it's done.
Yeah, in a game where you scored 99 points, you have 45 at halftime, you score 54 in the second half, and just dominate by 31. You go 12 of 25 on layups. I mean, you make half of those, you score 115.
Yeah.
So
you can't miss that many layups.
Yeah, you can't miss that many layups, and you probably won't see, because Nebraska missed a bunch of layups. You saw later in those, you saw LSU and Georgia Tech miss a bunch of layups. That it may have been, that's a new arena. That's an NBA arena. You saw different guys field. It's a different field. That's right. So, I mean, you never know. That could be a concept of anything, but a good thing it didn't come back to bite us, though.
That's right. But yeah, we can't miss 13 layups against LSU here in a couple of weeks.
That is true. That is a good LSU team. Mm-hmm. We'll take this second to talk about Wendell. I've said both. I don't really know which one it is. I've heard both from all different kinds of announcers, and that sort of, I think Andy says Wendell, so I'm going to go with Wendell. But if it's Wendell, it could be either one.
We apologize,
Mr. Green.
Green, that's fine.
Yeah, him coming off the bench may be the best move of the year.
Yeah, we did that before the Connecticut game, and I thought, I understand you're getting KD in because he provides energy and immediate scoring. And Bruce said before that game he wanted faster starts, so you put KD in to get a faster start, and it. But having Wendell coming off the bench is just he's so Zep leads the country in assist to turnover ratio. Wendell's going to commit a few more turnovers, but the passes that he's going to make are highlight reel passes. Yes. And then we went and watched his twin play last night, and Jared Harper, and it's the same thing. When he's in the gym, he feels like he's in range and can make the shot.
Yeah.
I read something somewhere that on shots of 30 or more feet, he's 4 of 7.
That's unbelievable.
More than 50% on shots of 30 feet or more. And that's the 3-point line is 22-9.
Yeah, that's the logo threes.
Those are the logo threes, and that one he shot
yeah.
yesterday from that logo on the kind of the timeline area was just nobody's going to guard him out there because you can't.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Why would you guard him out there? He'll go right by.
Yeah.
And I think Wendell, with him coming off the bench, I think you see him get a chance because especially since he's younger, and especially since the experience he had last year at Eastern Kentucky. I don't know how well you could take that because it was the COVID year
and they depended
Eastern
on
Kentucky,
him.
and they was you have to do something, Wendell. We're going to lose.
Yeah,
you're going to have to score 30, or we're going to lose. So I think him being able to see the floor, see the flow of the game, see before he's thrown into the action.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's helped him more than anything, and it's obviously helped Auburn because
absolutely
he goes for 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists today, 4 of 6 from 3, 7 of 12 from the field, and 1 of 2 from the free throw line. This is best game.
You'll take that off the bench any day, anytime, and especially once we get Flanagan to come back.
Yeah.
Then you're probably bringing Wendell and Cambridge.
And Jalen
Williams in as your backup group.
Yeah,
they would start for most teams.
That's right.
They would definitely start for most teams. So he's been a bright spot. Great assist guy. Just some of his passes, the alley-oop basically from half court to Devin was spectacular.
Yeah, that was fun. Those back-to-back alley-oops to Devin Cambridge, and the amount of energy that came out. We didn't get to watch this game with sound on the first time we watched it when we were watching it live because we were at a family event. But everything that I've heard off of Twitter, everything that I heard in the highlights that I watched, and everything that I heard on Instagram or anything like that, the crowd was loud. And that is a much bigger arena than Auburn Arena. State Farm Arena is where the Hawks play. That's a nice big arena. And apparently it was about 95% Auburn, of course. The Atlanta club came down.
The Atlanta Auburn club did a tiger walk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've not seen the videos, look that up. That's fun to watch. The kids seem to really get a kick out of that, walking through the hotel towards the arena. Then, but what they had done is they had closed off most of the upper deck to funnel people into the lower bowl. And Wendell made the comment afterwards that it felt like a home game to him.
Yeah,
he played on a neutral site, and the Auburn fans come out and make it feel like a home game. Did the same thing at South Florida, and to be honest with you, they did it pretty well at the Bahamas.
Yeah.
We talked to Chantel last week, and she said there were a lot of Auburn people at the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Atlanta Auburn club is. I think that they put it out that Atlanta has the largest concentration of Auburn fans anywhere except Lee County, Alabama.
Wow.
So, or Auburn graduates. So
that doesn't surprise me.
They showed up and they were loud.
Because most of the people in Alabama are
they were for that school. Bad team.
Because we live in Birmingham, so it's a mess.
Makes it tough.
Hey Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
We've done the part where we've talked about, the team and talked about the flow of the game. We've talked about some other players. Let's take our moment to talk about the best player in the country. And I will stand by that. You can tell me about Paulo Brancho at Duke. You can tell me about the Holgram kid at Gonzaga. You can tell me about anybody. I will stand by Jabari Smith and say he is the best player in the country. He proved it again today.
They opened the game up. They ran a pick and pop. He drilled the three, and it was on from there. He's the smoothest player I've seen. He's a 3-level scorer, meaning that he scores the ball from 3-point distance. He has a great pull-up game, mid-range game, and he can attack the basket. Yeah. But look, I like to watch him on the defensive end because he always gets in his stance. He always helps out. He's on help side on a play late in the game. Look, he's a first pick type of kid. Yeah. And he's doing help side defense and really defending his man. I think the second best KD in the country enjoyed watching him from the sidelines there.
Yeah, we saw that live, and I was like, oh, Kevin Durant came to watch his twin play basketball for Auburn, and because they had played the night before in Atlanta. Yep. And he stayed and watched and went to all the Holiday Hoopsgiving games. But I'm sure he's there to watch because he's the second best KD basketball player in the country. KD Johnson, obviously number one, and watch that Jabari kid, Jabari Smith. 21 points, 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, 4-4 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. We talk about every single game. It feels like he gets better and better. It makes a bigger and bigger impact because he's making impacts on the offensive end, obviously, but you just talked about how much he's making an impact on the defensive end and how important that is to have a kid, of that much talent and that much potential for the draft coming up to, give that much effort and work as hard as he does and show it and have that emotion in the game as well. I enjoy why we've got him, Auburn fans. Yeah. He's not going to be here long.
Andy Bertram even said that during the game on one of the calls. He was like, Auburn people, you better enjoy this guy for the year that he's here because he will not be here next year. Yeah. Even if he wanted to come back, Bruce Pearl would take his jersey from him and tell him to go because he is that type of player. When your best player, when your most talented player on your team works as hard as he does, it makes everybody on the team want to work harder.
That's right.
Because they go, oh, well,
Jabari's working.
He's the best player maybe in the country. Yeah. And look how hard he's working. Yeah. He's so much fun.
It sets the tone for this team, and it's setting the tone for the season, and it's
he's unguardable. He's unguardable. So he our only loss of the year, he was not very efficient. Yeah. He didn't make his percentages. I don't have them in front of me, but they weren't very good. But after that game, he put out a tweet that said, "My bad. We'll get back going again." And since then, he's averaged over 20 points a game and just dominating people. Yeah. And he's the type of guy that he plays the game where he's trying to make sure that everybody else is involved too. But he knows, and everybody else in the building knows, he can take over the game anytime you need him to. Yeah. In past years with Bruce Pearl, sometimes even our Final Four run, there were times when we would go into a lull on offense, or it felt like maybe we'd get ahead, and sometimes Bruce would take the air out of the ball a little bit and just run that high pick and roll late in the clock, and we wouldn't score. Yeah, and it was frustrating the life out of me. We've got a guy now that we can go, there's a lull in the offense. Okay, get it, Jabari. We need a bucket. Yeah. Go get a bucket.
And there were a few times, especially in the Final Four, during that win streak in the Final Four, where Chuma would be that same way. Or Jared would be that same way. where it'd just be like, okay, Jared, okay, Chuma, here's the ball, go score.
Yeah.
Oh, offense isn't doing it right now. We got to go score. And Jabari is the exact same way. I think you got a few guys on this team. I think at some points against some teams that are smaller, I think Walker could be that way. I think Wendell could get there. I don't think he's there right now. I think he could get there. I think the guy sitting over in sweatpants and sweatshirt is absolutely there.
And KD can do it too.
And I think KD's that way too. He didn't have an efficient night tonight. Dude still scored 12 points. He's averaging, he scored 27 in the one game that we lost. So, he's there as well. So you got multiple guys on that team, but you also see this team run offense. You're like, well, just keep doing that.
Yeah.
So
when you got a 6'10" kid who is just as good at the 3-point line as anybody else, he's probably leading the team percentage wise from 3-point range, and he can take it off the bounce and get by guys. Please, Auburn fans, this is a once in a generation type of talent.
Yeah.
This is Cam Newton.
Yeah.
When he was at Auburn.
Yeah.
Enjoy him while he's here and just love watching basketball, because this kid plays basketball the right way.
Yeah, that's right.
He plays it the right way.
Love that analogy that you used with Cam, because he's such a once in a generation talent. And I was in third grade when Cam was here, so it was a little, he'll come back next year. No, that's not how this works, especially in basketball, and especially with the kind of money the NBA is putting out right now.
Yeah.
So enjoy him while he's got it, because this dude's not gonna be here long, and this dude's gonna keep getting better, and he's gonna be fun to watch in the NBA.
I was gonna say, then go buy his NBA jersey.
Go buy his NBA jersey. Go buy NBA tickets and watch him become a star, because this dude's gonna be a star.
We've been doing that with Okoro and Chuma and some of these guys, and those guys are making a dent in the NBA. This kid has a chance to. This guy's all-star type level. Yeah,
I agree.
I heard a comparison, I guess it was today or maybe last night, that I thought was, and we always say KD. He's not as tall as KD, and he's not as refined yet as KD is. Somebody compared him to Paul George. I thought that may be a really good. Paul's a really good outside shooter. Paul's not as tall as Jabari is, but smooth athlete, can jump out of the gym. Yeah, maybe that's a really good. There's a lot of good comps, but I thought that was an interesting one.
Yeah, I think that is an interesting one. I've never thought of that. I've heard Tobias Harris.
Yep.
I've heard guys that are smaller but have that sort of range. The reason we say KD is because he's closer to height than KD than he is to Tobias Harris or Paul George. So I don't know how you compare him right now, especially with what we've seen right now. Maybe our NBA draft episode, we'll be able to compare. We'll be able to hear Jay Billis or Wojnarowski talk about him, and that'll be kind of different.
I'll be interested once we get into the SEC and get some of these different announcers. The guy yesterday played at Virginia. Mm-hmm. He's pretty good, but he loved all over Jabari.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested to hear a guy like Jay Billis or Vital even talk about what Jabari can do and call a game that he's playing in.
That's right.
And I think we'll get a couple of those.
I think you will. I think you will. I hate to. I really don't like talking about this other school, but that other school is really good.
They're really good.
And you better mark January 11th and February 1st right now, because those two games are going to be top games to watch. Auburn and Alabama. John Rothstein tweeted out, save those dates right now after Alabama beat Houston last night. Save those dates right now, because those two may be the top of the SEC right now.
Kentucky got beat. I don't know. I haven't really watched a lot of LSU, but they struggled against Georgia Tech and pulled away late.
Yeah.
And
Arkansas got beat.
Florida got beat. Arkansas got run.
Yeah.
Florida's gotten beat. Tennessee looked as bad as any team I've seen look this year against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
That was the worst game to watch of the week. But so I think it's Auburn and Alabama and then the rest of the SEC right now.
Yeah.
And look, we've not played the toughest schedule.
Yeah.
And they've got two big time pelts on the wall in Gonzaga and now Houston. Houston's a good team.
Yeah.
But I watched that game against Houston last night, and it'll be interesting because I don't think they have anybody can guard Jabari.
I don't either.
And the thing that the reason Houston stayed in the game is offensive rebounding. And I think we're pretty good at offensive rebounding.
Who do you block out? Who blocks out Kessler?
Who's gonna match up with Kessler on that side, on that end of the floor? So that's one we can talk about as we get towards it. But I agree, it's top 2 teams in the SEC easily.
All right. Player of the game. There's two that I would just go with right now, and I think us two have picked them. There's any way you can kind of go with it. I mean, you can even say Devin if you wanted to, because he went 6 of 8, 2 of 3 from 3, which is by far his best percentage.
Let me talk about Devin, because he was going to be my player of the game. And I've been rough on Devin.
Yeah,
not rough on him. I've asked him to please stop shooting from outside. He has found a little rhythm recently and is shooting in the 40 percentile range from outside. If he can shoot 40%, he can shoot that ball. I'm fine with him shooting that ball.
Let it go, yeah.
But some of the things that he's doing with his athletic ability, the alley-oop from Walker Kessler, a 7'1" guy standing outside the 3-point range. It wasn't really a lob. He threw it directly at the front of the rim. And Devin went up and caught it and reverse dunked an alley-oop. I've only seen that twice, and it's both been by Devin Cambridge.
Yeah.
Dunking an alley-oop behind his back.
Yeah, I've seen it. The only other time I've seen it besides Devin is I saw J.R. Smith do it one time with the Knicks. And it was the most impressive play of the year. It was like the dunk of the year on NBA TV. So you just kind of like, whoa.
You're talking about athletic ability that I can't even imagine. So he did that one off a pass from Walker. And the next time down the floor, Wendell throws it from half court. And he goes up and does it again.
Yeah.
So that's the type. That game yesterday is the Devin Cambridge game that I'd love to see repeated over and over again.
That's right.
Hit 2 or 3 of those threes. I'm keep shooting it.
Yeah.
Make them come out and guard you now.
Yeah.
Because we've been saying this whole year,
yeah.
Devin, they're not guarding you because you don't make them.
Yeah.
Well, now he's starting to make them.
Yeah.
And now he can start using that athletic ability and backdoor people like he did, and just fly it. He's really fun to watch when he starts bouncing around the court. That reverse dunk on the alley-oop was special.
Yeah.
So, yes, could he be the player of the game? Yeah, I think he would. He was my second choice for player of the game. And I thought it was funny, though. He didn't get any rebounds. A guy who just went 10 and 10 last game.
Yeah.
And talked about how Kessler was stealing all his rebounds.
He may have had to talk to Walker because Walker ended up with 7 boards.
He may have ended up. May have had to talk to her. So you want to give yours, or you want me to give mine?
You give yours. Yeah.
Okay. Mine is Wendell.
Okay.
Just the coming off the, like we talked earlier about, coming off the bench. He does something that a lot of guards don't really do real well, and that's when he goes to the basket. If he sees a big guy coming for him, he keeps his dribble alive and goes around underneath the basket and looks at guys cutting down the lane. Yeah. And he hit Jalen on a cut. He dribbled underneath the basket. Jalen cut off his man right down the lane. He hit him. He went up, put it in, and got fouled. And Wendell is just the type of guy that right now is, his assists are so much fun. And the fact that he's shooting 4 or 7 from 30 plus feet that's just stupid. So Wendell ended up with 19 on 7 of 12, shooting 4 or 5 from 3-point range. He had 6 boards and 6 assists. Again, I'll take that coming off the bench any day you want to.
That's right.
Because he was fantastic in this game. And he's got a lot of growing to do. But he's got the type of game that he can be a fixture for a while at point guard.
That's right.
Because he's a sophomore.
It is.
And he's got that freshman year didn't count against it. Yeah. So he could be here 4 years if he wanted to be.
Yeah. Because
he's 6 foot, maybe.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that he'll do a lot.
He's got big hair.
Pros, 6'3" with the hair.
Mine's just self-explanatory. 21 points. Jabari Smith, he was the best player on the floor. He will be the best player on the floor, I think, in every single game Auburn plays this year. The only question that I could have about that is if we play Duke in the tournament, and that Paulo kid is pretty good.
He's really good.
But I would honestly take Jabari right now. So
again, enjoy watching him.
I gotta go with Jabari Smith. Yeah, enjoy watching that kid because he's here for a year. So crazy. Tuesday, December 14th at 8 p.m. at Auburn Arena, the Auburn Tigers will play the North Alabama Lions from UNA. Stephen Pearl, like we talked about earlier, will be the head coach, filling in for Bruce's last suspension, and Bruce will be back for St. Louis on Saturday. This UNA team started out like 1-3, 1-4, and they've won 5 straight games, but played, absolute nobody. I don't know what to think about this North Alabama team. So
it won't be. Look, if they get hot from 3, they could stay in the game for a little while, I think. But it's a lower level team. Yeah, I like that Bruce, when he plays a bye game like this, plays Alabama teams. That's right. Alabama State, North Alabama, A&M, UAB. Yeah, I don't know that I want to play UAB right now. By the way, UAB just took a Division III school and spanked them and sent them home. They had 9 points at halftime. Anyway, North Alabama. I think it was Ferguson who had a stat about they get more shots blocked than almost any team in the country, and they're coming to a team who blocks more shots than almost any team in the country. So Walker ought to have a field day.
He ought to have 10 or 15 blocks. Okay, I'm expecting that now, Walker. I need at least 15 blocks now.
Yeah, and they're not going to have anybody can guard Jabari. If Jabari wants to score 30, he can score 30.
That's right.
You don't want to take any team lightly.
Yeah.
But you also know that if Auburn plays like Auburn should play, and it's not about who you're playing.
It's about you.
It's about you. It's about us getting better, because St. Louis is going to be a road trip that's going to be a little tougher.
Yeah.
I think, again, they're beatable, but it's about getting better as a team. And I'm excited for Coach Pearl Jr. To get a coaching opportunity, and was really excited for Wes Flanagan. By the way, we need to say how great it was that Flanagan came in and
he really did good.
It's his dream to coach at Auburn, and he said afterwards, he said, I guess I have the highest winning percentage of any coach in Auburn history. And he does, and now Stephen Pearl can
tie him up. Right. Yeah,
tie him at 100%.
That's right. And I saw a tweet. I forget who it was, but somebody said, "Is Bruce holding this team back?"
I think it was Drunk Albee, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was really funny.
No, Bruce is not holding this team back, by the way. But Coach Flanagan did a great job. If it needs to go to him at some point, we're in good hands. I think he'd be an excellent head coach. If Bruce ever decided to retire in 30 years.
Yeah, 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever you want.
You hear that, Bruce.
But we'll wrap it up there. Dad, you can go ahead.
I am CTO.
Yeah.
I am CTO.
Tell him how wrong
That's on Twitter.
Tell him how bad he is at doing this. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Gray Oldenburg, or on Instagram at GrayO21.
And the E2C network.
And at E2C _network on Twitter. Follow the network. Love Kyle. Love all the guys at E2C. Love all the stuff that we do. So, and we love y'all for listening. We thank y'all for listening. Until
I bet they're gonna have a big football thing on the network about our recruiting Wednesday. National Signing Day.
National Signing Day Wednesday. I'm excited about that.
Yep.
All right.
War Eagle.
We'll get out of here. And War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, If it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.